Good afternoon. I'd like to call our meeting to order with a quick roll call. Regent Acker,
Present.
Regent Beam,
Here.
Regent Bernstein,
Present.
Regent Brown, Regent Hubbard,
Here.
Regent Illich, Regent Weiser,
Here.
Regent White.
Here.
Thank you. As we begin, I'd especially like to thank Sarah Hubbard, our outgoing chair. In a year in which we have faced significant challenges, Sarah has been a committed leader, a steadfast supporter, and a passionate advocate for our university. During her tenure, we broke ground on the University of Michigan Center for Innovation in Detroit. We announced Innovate Michigan, a new partnership with the Detroit Regional Chamber designed to foster innovation, technological advancement, and economic growth from Detroit to Ann Arbor. And we also won a national championship in football. Sarah, thank you again for all that you have done, and I assure you that we will continue to aspire to be not just the University of Michigan, but the University for Michigan. I'd also like to congratulate our incoming chair, Regent White, and Vice Chair, Regent Bernstein, who will begin in their roles on July 1st. And I'm pleased to announce that Jeffrey Weidlinger, our Joseph Brodsky Collegiate Professor of History and Judaic Studies, has been named as the inaugural director of the Raoul Wallenberg Institute at the University of Michigan. Faculty and staff leaders from across the university have also been appointed to the new institute's executive committee. Since we will be discussing our budget today, it's appropriate to begin by remembering who we are and what we aspire to be: a defining public university, leveraging our excellence and interdisciplinarity to educate learners, advance society, and make groundbreaking discoveries that impact the greatest challenges facing humanity. That's our call from Vision 2034, which we announced earlier this spring. The vision was a lens through which we both viewed and shaped our budget, and it will focus our aspirations and achievements in the days to come. In that same spirit of aspiration and excellence, I'm pleased to report that according to the 2024 edition of the Center for World University Rankings, that we ranked almost amongst 21,000 institutions, number 16 in the world, 13th in the United States, and second among U.S. public universities. Our Institute for Social Research also recently received the University of Michigan's largest research grant, $195 million in new federal funding from the National Institute on Aging to extend its enduring and influential health and retirement study through 2029. In addition, a 2024 study by the Knight Foundation reported that University of Michigan has one of the most diverse groups of asset managers of any university in the country. About a third of the assets in the University of Michigan endowment are managed by investment firms owned by women or minorities, generating substantial financial returns, as well as improving opportunity among investment firms. Together, we are continuing to increase our impact across the state and throughout the region. At the Mackinac Policy Conference, we announced Innovate Michigan, a new partnership with the Detroit Regional Chamber to foster innovation, technological advancement, and economic growth from Ann Arbor all the way to Detroit. This will be a connective, collaborative effort through which we'll be joining with industry leaders and business associations, along with other institutions of higher education, to transform our region into a national leader in technology and economic development. We have also joined with Governor Gretchen Whitmer and other public and private sector partners in the MSTAR initiative, which aspires to make Michigan a world leader in semiconductor technology and talent development. Governor Whitmer recently announced a $10 million investment in MSTAR, which is now initiating a portfolio of innovation projects. Through our Go Blue guarantee, which our regents voted to expand at this meeting last year, we will provide free tuition for 1,554 students for the financial aid year 2024. And with this budget, we are doubling down on our support of Go Blue guarantee recipients by facilitating and funding high-impact learning experiences, which include study abroad and undergraduate research opportunities. Last week, we were joined by 4 outstanding members of the Michigan community: Senator Debbie Stabenow, developer, visionary, and philanthropist Stephen Ross, Professor Dr. Earl Lewis, and Coach Carol Hutchins, our inaugural awardees of the University of Michigan Medal of Excellence. This award was created for exceptional individuals who epitomize our credo of leaders and best, and even more, who exemplify our ethos of service, achievement, and excellence. It will be an annual tradition in which we salute those who have made an indelible imprint on the mission, purpose, and ideals of the University of Michigan. Finally, I would like to extend our congratulations to Amy Gubzer. Amy is a University of Michigan alum, a pediatric nurse, and a 55-year-old grandmother who last month completed what can be considered the toughest marathon swim in the world, a 29.7-mile solo swim from San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge to the Farallon Islands. The swim took her about 17 hours through what the LA Times described as roiling, freezing, famously shark-infested waters. Only a handful of people have ever completed that swim, and Amy was the first to complete it, going from east to west, a more challenging direction due to the colder water near the islands. Afterward, she told a reporter, quote, "I don't think we all know what we're capable of." So congratulations again, Amy. And each day, let us aspire to follow your lead and unleash the incredible capability that beats in the heart of every Wolverine. Before we move on to the rest of the business for our meeting, I would like to call upon Regent Denise Illich to say a few words about Regent Hubbard.
Thank you. I just wanted to add and add to what you've said, President Ono, which is also true, but and I'm sure I can take the liberty to speak on behalf of my colleagues, but Sarah, you did an outstanding job as chair. You know, it was early in your tenure to take the chair position, and you were like a pro. You co-chaired the presidential search, which was an enormous amount of work, and you ended up doing a fine job and selecting the president, and you co-chaired the renovation of the president's house, which was an enormous amount of time and work. You've traveled extensively to a lot of finance meetings in New York in order to support the university. But I think my favorite part is that you are the most fun chair that I've experienced, right? Am I right, you guys? So anyways, thank you for a job well done. And we look forward to Regent White doing as good a job. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Sarah, I just wanted to add my voice to what Denise has said, and I'm sure I'm joined by everybody at the table. You just did an exceptional job as chair during extraordinarily difficult circumstances, thoughtful, smart, very strategic, and extraordinarily responsible. Like, you took this job really seriously, and like we all do, but like this, it's not easy. That was not a simple year to get through. So thank you. And I'm looking forward to a new sheriff in town with new general in town. I don't know if we're gonna have to salute or anything, but that's a whole nother thing.
Well,
Congratulations to you, I guess, to you, Kathy.
Hand over the fun stick, you know.
Yeah, or condole.
Right.
Thank
And congratulations, Regent Bernstein, for being vice chair of the board. Looking forward to working with you as well. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Donna Fry for her leadership as interim chancellor. It has been a joy to work with you. You have had a very positive impact on the campus, and we really are very grateful. We owe you a debt of gratitude for the time, energy, and love that you showered upon that campus. Thank you very much, Donna. All right, we're going to return to the normal business of the meeting. Provost Macaulay will begin with the 2024-2025 budget presentation with the Ann Arbor General Fund operating budget. Over to you, Lori.
Thank you, President Ono. It's my pleasure to present the fiscal year 25 general fund budget, proposed tuition and required fees, and housing rates for the Ann Arbor campus. We are at an inflection point for our campus and for higher education. With the launch of Vision 2034, we build on our 200-plus year legacy of leadership and impact and advance what makes us the University of Michigan. We're pleased to propose a fiscal year 25 budget that supports the ambitious goals of Vision 2034. Over the next 10 years, we will make demonstrable advances in 4 impact areas, positioning us to be the defining public university that refines the power of higher ed in service to humanity. The fiscal year 25 budget takes bold steps toward our vision while maintaining fiscal discipline, responsible stewardship of our resources, and our commitments to excellence, access, and affordability. This proposed budget was developed with careful input, guidance, and counsel from many across our campus, including our board members. Our support for the pillar of human health and well-being guides this budget's investments in student wellness, safety on campus, and health equity. That includes continued support of the Campus Wellbeing Collective, staff to provide targeted support for students in their schools and colleges, and additional funding for recreational and adaptive sports. We provide increased funding for campus safety, such as physical security assessments and weapons detection, to ensure that our community has a safe environment in which to work and learn. We advance our commitment to health equity by addressing health disparities through our teaching, service, and research. In our commitment to life-changing education, U of M will expand the boundaries of learning and connect more learners to our outstanding faculty. Among our investments are new programs for current and future U of M students in Detroit, where we aspire to be strong partners in economic mobility, community building, and job growth. The further development of online learning opportunities will expand access and entry to global learners through new MOOCs, courses, and degree programs. Undergirding these initiatives are investments in recruiting and retaining a world-class faculty and supporting their dedication to excellence in teaching, service, and research. I'm pleased that in service to our commitment to access and affordability, we're making further investments in high-impact learning experiences, such as study abroad and research opportunities with faculty. The university is a long-standing leader in student engagement in these areas, and this budget makes targeted investments to ensure students from all socioeconomic backgrounds can participate in these life-changing experiences. Climate action, sustainability, and environmental justice are served in the launch of the Climate Futures Lab in the Taubman College of Architecture and Urban Planning, which advances climate-related research, creative practice, and education. Also addressing climate action and resilience is the Detroit Sustainability Clinic, administered by the School for Environment and Sustainability. This budget includes funding to expand our fleet of electric buses, accelerating our momentum towards carbon neutrality. In this coming academic year, we will celebrate a year of democracy and civic engagement. In support of this theme, the fiscal year 25 general fund budget makes investments in anti-bias training and outreach aimed to increase understanding and actively challenge prejudice, misinformation, and bias, such as anti-Semitism. It supports the launch of a program for teaching civil discourse at scale in the Ross School of Business. The UMich Votes Coalition anticipates robust activity and nonpartisan voter engagement in education. We are also expanding our international partnerships and opportunities for more students to travel and study internationally and reap the many academic and social benefits of global engagement. Let me now turn to our proposed tuition rates for the coming year. The budget is based on a recommended tuition increase of 2.9% for in-state undergraduates. We are pleased to have crafted a budget that includes a resident increase that is below the current annual rate of inflation. Rates for out-of-state undergraduates would increase 4.9%. For graduate programs, the budget proposal includes an increase of 4.9%, with a limited number of differential increases for specific graduate programs. The University Health Service fee will increase by 3.9%. This fee is a required component of tuition and is built into the proposed rate increases I've just mentioned. The housing rates are proposed to increase by 6% as part of a 10-year plan to enhance the student experience, address rising costs, and build capacity. Our ambitious vision for the university includes ensuring that our world-class education remains accessible for all Michigan families, regardless of financial means. I want to take this opportunity to outline what our sustained attention to affordability and investments in financial aid have attained. 63% of our resident undergraduates do not pay the sticker price. Their cost to attend the University of Michigan is less thanks to grants and scholarships. 31% of our undergraduates pay no tuition at all. And the average cost for a family with an income of $120,000 or less is lower than it was a decade ago after adjusting for inflation. To continue this priority, the fiscal year 25 budget increases the central undergraduate aid budget by 6.3%, continuing our practice of entirely offsetting the tuition and fee increase for resident students who receive need-based aid. Our fiscal year 25 budget includes an anticipated increase in state funding of 2.5% over last year. These funds, which compose 13% of our general fund budget, help the university to meet its mandatory and inflationary cost increases, and we are grateful to the state for this support. This fiscal year 25 budget funds over $390 million in central financial aid. The budget includes over $30 million in cost containment. This fiscal discipline, an exercise we build into the annual budget process of every general fund unit, allows us to make meaningful investments in our Vision 2034 impact areas while limiting tuition increases. Supporting this budget means the university can meet its mandatory costs, provide crucial incremental resources in academic programs, research, and operations, continue our commitment to affordability, and make meaningful investments in the pillars of Vision 2034. This budget positions us to leverage the university's excellence for the benefit of all as we ask the world to Look to Michigan. I'd like to thank our faculty, staff, and board members for your steadfast commitment to uphold the excellence of this world-class institution. And in particular, I'd like to extend gratitude to Tom Finholt, the budget team, who ensure our resources are carefully and strategically deployed to make our efforts possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments on the Ann Arbor budget? Yes, Regent Beam?
Just a quick comment on why I'm in favor of the budget, the hard work that Provost McCauley and Tom Finholt have done with this. Just to repeat, 63% of our undergrads receive aid, and 31% of our resident undergrads pay no tuition. Of those 63% of our resident undergrads who receive aid, it's really important to understand that they will not pay any increase or receive any increase in tuition. And that's one of the things that I'm most proud of in this budget. Thanks.
Regent White?
Thank you, President Ono. I'm also very impressed with the continued cost containment strategies that we've used over the past, it's actually decades. So this budget includes over $31 million in cost containment. And these efforts ensure that we can operate efficiently, keeping tuition as low as possible. And to put that in perspective, since 2005, the cost containment strategies have resulted in over $550 million in cost reductions and containment. And that amount is approximately 20% of our total general fund budget. So it's really crucial that we continue those efforts. And thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you, Regent White. Any other comments?
Sure. Thank you, President Ono. I want to just begin by acknowledging how much work goes into preparing this budget. Your leadership, Santa, and of course, Lori and Tom and everybody in your office. It is a massive undertaking. And I am grateful to you for the work that you do. That said, this is the first time I will vote against the budget in my 12 years of service on this board. And my vote is informed by 3 observations. One, or first, my belief that our university has failed the vast majority of our Jewish students in addressing anti-Semitism on our campus. Indeed, earlier this week on June 17th, an investigation by the United States Department of Education Office of Civil Rights found that the university failed to comply with its Title VI requirements to, quote, assess whether incidents individually or cumulatively created a hostile environment for students, faculty, or staff, and take steps reasonably calculated to end the hostile environment, remedy its effects, and prevent its recurrence. This involved, quoting again, allegations of discrimination or harassment based on shared Jewish ancestry, and also, I will add, shared Palestinian or Muslim ancestry, end of quote. Secondly, our many failures during the past academic year have reduced my confidence in our ability to fight the dangerous, deeply rooted culture of anti-Semitism on our campus going forward. The toxic presence of anti-Semitism and all forms of bigotry threatens the viability of this institution and causes profound damage to our society. And finally, the administration has failed to present, in my view, a detailed plan to address the current crisis with the conviction, resources, and urgency that this challenge demands. Talk is cheap. We need to do better. And until then, the buck, at least for me, stops here. And for these reasons, I will vote no on the proposed budget.
Regent Ecker?
Thank you, President Ono. I know we're talking about the budget, but I want to start just by thanking many of the professors, students, staff, faculty, community members who offered support after the crime that took place in my office a couple of weeks ago. Specifically, I want to take this moment to thank President Ono for his support. His private and public statements have reflected an urgency in this moment. For that, and the support of my colleagues on this board, I am forever grateful. I'm also grateful to have heard from so many faculty members, some of whom I know, but others who I have met for the first time who sent messages. Thank you. Mr. President, executive officers, we have so much more to do. Today, as in the last 9 months, anti-Semitism runs rampant on our campus. Like many American Jews, I believe that there is no secure Israel without a secure, free, and just Palestine. But since October 7th, many of us have been asked to either distance ourselves from our Jewish identity, which includes prayers for the people of Israel, prayers in the direction of Jerusalem, or simply a cultural affinity for our friends and family in Israel, or face unrelenting attacks, some of them physical, and many of them like what happened at my office. Instead of debate or discussion on the war in Gaza, much of this conversation, especially on our campus, has been around whether Jews and Jews alone have the right to self-determination. There has been intense policing of Jews' ability to determine for themselves what is anti-Semitic and what is not. That must end. We have so much to do moving forward. Our campuses must be safe for all students, but the facts are what they are. The U.S. Department of Education reported 75 discrete incidents of reported anti-Semitism on campus. And I won't quote because Regent Bernstein just did, but I want to remind everyone that this campus has been a haven from anti-Semitism of the Ivy League for nearly 100 years, and we have to move back to being that place. Let me make this clear. I am voting for this budget because to do otherwise would be to not give Michigan students the Go Blue guarantee, the ability of middle-class Michiganders to go to school tuition-free. I'm voting for this budget because our campuses at Flint and Dearborn deserve the chance to educate their students in those communities. I'm voting for this budget because ultimately, the University of Michigan is most importantly a place that a son or daughter of an auto worker can come and get an Ivy League level education at an affordable price less than an hour from home. That is the dream of this institution, and despite my misgivings about our ability to combat anti-Semitism, that is why I will vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Ecker. Any other comments? All right.
Yes,
I would
this
just
is
like to
Regent
say-
Brown. This is Regent Brown.
Regent
Can you
Brown,
hear?
please go ahead.
Yes, I'll be short. I have similar sentiments to Regent Acker. The Department of Education report is damning, and we must do better. I feel it has a tangential, at best, connection to the budget. This is a great budget, and I will vote for it because it is so, and because we have gotten assurances from the administration that they will do better on those issues cited in the report and by my colleague, Regent Bernstein. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Brown. Any other comments from regents? All right. I want to first acknowledge all the comments from all the regents. And I agree, we have much to do, and we will do so. During the recent protests related to the Israel-Hamas war, I too have been concerned about the impact of some of the rhetoric on all of our students, and our Jewish students in particular, and university officials and regents. Working together, I know we can do even more to support everyone in the community and those students, and I will continue to lead us in that regard. At the very beginning of my presidency, far before October 7th, we planned for the establishment of the Raoul Wallenberg Institute on Antisemitism. The Institute celebrates him and is meant to share his values and bring people together to understand the root causes of anti-Semitism and bias. In the upcoming year, programming will include multiple opportunities to discuss and debate complicated issues, including the war in the Middle East. These are indeed challenging times, not just for Michigan, but on all campuses across the country and around the world. As the University of Michigan's president, I am steadfast in my commitment to making our university the premier institution not only for higher learning and research, but one that values diversity of thought and provides our students and every member of the community a forum to challenge one another in a cordial and open dialogue. As always, we also continue to evaluate university policy to consider whether there are additional steps we can take to address the new challenges that have been articulated, and we shall do so. Finally, I am mindful that while we condemn the actions of individuals and groups who conduct threatening, intimidating, and illegal acts, we have supported and will continue to support every member of the community who wishes to have a meaningful dialogue about complex subjects like the war in the Middle East. Our community includes people of different religions, national origins, and ethnic groups, and we expect and welcome disparate views. Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim students have the right to study and learn in an environment free also of fear and harassment. Just as the university stands up against anti-Semitism, and we will, we also stand up against Islamophobia, anti-Arab bias, and all forms of discrimination and hate. But when individuals or groups threaten or intimidate members of our wider university community, we will not hesitate to step in and to hold them accountable. I remain committed to working with all of you on the board, every member of the community, to ensure that we have the university that we all want, one that is safe and welcoming for all, in which civil discourse prevails. Thank you very much. Let us move on now to a presentation from President David Miller, who will present the health system budget. President Miller.
Thank you, President Ono, members of the Board of Regents, and members of the University of Michigan community. I'm David Miller, and I'm extraordinarily grateful to be here today to present the fiscal year 25 operating plan on behalf of the extraordinary teams of University of Michigan Health, who every day step forward to provide care 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. At the heart of our operating plan for the next fiscal year is our mission of advancing health to serve Michigan and the world. And I always say there are at least two key elements to that mission. The first, the concept of advancing health, which to me by definition is the continuous effort to improve the care we deliver and the health outcomes we're able to provide for patients and communities in our local area and across the state. And the second part is the notion of serving Michigan and the world. We heard in Provost McCauley's budget the concept of statewide impact, and we seek to achieve that as well at University of Michigan Health. At the heart of our plan are the concepts of both strengthening our clinical delivery system for today and securing it for tomorrow in the ever-changing world of healthcare delivery. And achieving that in a large and growing organization requires continued focus on our strategic priorities that we reference as building our base, the concepts of belonging and inclusion, access, safety and quality and experience, as well as strategic growth and partnership, and how we accomplish those both with respect to measured performance and the stories in our organization. At the same time, we now have an opportunity to increase our statewide impact as we've added members to our system in West Michigan with University of Michigan Health West, and in Lansing and Mid-Michigan with University of Michigan Health Sparrow. And our efforts at statewide clinical integration, the concept of drawing strength from each of the members of our organization to provide expanded local clinical programs, meeting the needs of patients and communities, to achieving coordinated statewide care where patients and communities can sense the connectedness across the state, and being good stewards of healthcare resource by advancing population health. Putting these together to provide patients with the right care at the right place at the right time. Ultimately, this needs to support all aspects of our mission: education, research, clinical care, community engagement, as we continue to advance health to serve Michigan and the world. And we've made progress this year across each of our strategic priorities. For belonging and inclusion, our extraordinary multidisciplinary primary care teams have improved blood pressure control and reduced disparities in management of blood pressure. And this issue translates into fewer cardiovascular events, fewer strokes, lower morbidity and mortality, a truly remarkable outcome and a testament to multiple years of teamwork and effort. From a safety perspective, we've continued to reduce patient harm and employee harm in the complex healthcare environment that we practice. And we continue to grow. We're so excited to open the Ypsilanti Health Center on schedule in the fall of 2024. And all of this is done with extraordinary teamwork, one of our core values and one of the core values of the institution. And our work is recognized. I share a few of the moments of external recognition that identify and continue to acknowledge the extraordinary work of our teams and University of Michigan Health as a leading healthcare delivery system. But we also have work to do. When you look at each of our goals, we know that progress is needed, and our teams are determined to continue working together and to innovate to improve access for patients in our communities, to continue to elevate the safety and quality of our care, and to optimize the experience for our patients and our team members. This is the work in front of us. So while we will continue at our academic medical center and in all of the member sites of our organization to focus on those base priorities and what they mean for the care we deliver every day, we also have incredible opportunities to expand our statewide impact. This concept of clinical integration, again, building resources, relationships, infrastructure, and programs that support these concepts of access, safety, and quality and experience across the state. And we'll do this by what's reflected in our concept of clinical integration. And I often say if you ask what clinical integration means across the whole organization, you might get a lot of different answers. So we're trying to be specific about efforts to create new clinical programs to address gaps in communities. For instance, complex neurosurgical care in Lansing. To coordinate statewide care, to think about what services are needed in each community and how is it easy to move back and forth between sites of care in ways that patients can experience and appreciate. And again, to be good stewards of resources as we think about appropriate care and judicious use of healthcare resources. Ultimately, at its heart, though, for University of Michigan Health is the concept of quality and safety. The notion that when you walk into one of our facilities, that we will do the right thing for our patients and do it well. And we've seen where this can work well. I share a brief story here of the Cardiovascular Network of West Michigan, a truly extraordinary collaboration between University of Michigan, our academic medical center, University of Michigan Health West, and Trinity Health in West Michigan, with the creation and development of a new open heart surgery program that in less than 2 years provided patients with more than 200 patients with life-saving open heart surgery, creating new access, lowering costs of care, and achieving exemplary outcomes in West Michigan. More recently, one of the more innovative procedures for treatment of valvular heart disease was completed for the first time at University of Michigan Health West. Again, a recognition of the ability to expand and extend our impact across the entire state. Again, at its heart, though, our operating plan reflects our continued commitment to provide care for our communities. And what we will see is increased activity across all of the major areas of clinical care: inpatient discharges, inpatient and outpatient surgery, and outpatient or ambulatory visits. In fact, we project over 4 million outpatient encounters in fiscal year 25 across more than 200 care locations in the state. Truly a statewide impact. This slide summarizes our financial performance from fiscal year 23, fiscal year 24 forecasted to the end of this year, and our plan for fiscal year 25. And there are a couple points worth mentioning. First, as you can see in fiscal year 23, we actually had a negative operating margin, or a loss of $65 million. We've been able to stabilize this year with a forecasted operating margin for fiscal year 24 of 2.9%, or $226 million. And there are multiple factors that have contributed to this. Some one-time payments, but truly, most importantly, the commitment, expertise, and hard work of our teams in our hospitals, in our clinics, our pharmacies, our administrative sites across the state of Michigan. And although our performance has stabilized this year, it is undeniable that financial conditions in healthcare remain challenging. And so when we look ahead to our fiscal year 25 plan, we project an operating margin of $139 million, with revenues approaching $8.4 billion and expenses at $8.2 billion. This translates to an operating margin of 1.7%. Again, we are encouraged that this represents an incremental step in what is ultimately a multi-year journey toward financial recovery and sustainability. But we will move forward together. We'll continue our focus on our base priorities, the pursuit of clinical and operational excellence that improves the lives of patients and communities every single day. We'll build a strong statewide network that achieves its promise of the right care in the right place at the right time. I often say to our teams that we'll beat the odds and add value to the communities where we provide care along those lines. At our heart, we are an innovative organization. We'll continue to invest in innovation and to invest relentlessly in our teams, our programs, and our facilities that make us a leading academic medical center and a leading healthcare system in the state, nationally, and in the world. and through it all, a commitment to our mission, vision, and values, the concept of advancing health to serve Michigan and the world. So I'll close again with pictures of our extraordinary team members doing their work, as I say often, 24/7, 365, forever. Thank you, and go Blue.
David, before you sit down, I just wanted to express my thanks to you. One of my privileges is to serve as the chair of the Health Board, and I've been able to see firsthand how incredibly hard you and your team work. What you have accomplished is an extremely heavy lift. Your vision with the member substitution over this past couple of years, the rapid success of some of these initiatives, bold initiatives, is really exemplar in what I've seen in academic health centers. You have a bold vision. It's a multi-year vision. The innovation is a key part of that margin, being in the black. I know firsthand from watching that be stood up. And I don't know anybody who works harder than you in this entire community. So we are very fortunate, not only with your leadership, but the team that you have assembled. So, and I cannot overemphasize how incredibly important this is for the entire university enterprise, with support of our medical school, but many other schools that collaborate with faculty, staff, and students at the University of Michigan. So thank you so much for your leadership.
Well, thank you, President Ono, and we're extraordinarily grateful for your support, the support of the Board of Regents. But as I said at the beginning, in the end, it is the teams who come to work every day at our clinics, hospitals across the state who bring themselves forward to meet the needs of our patients and our communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Regent Bernstein. Weiser, sorry.
Yeah, I want to add my congratulations. You mentioned the team, but your daughter's being named the U of M Athlete of the Year. It's quite an honor for her and obviously for your family.
Thank you, Regent Weiser. I'll simply say it was one of the joys of our lifetime. Thank you.
All right. We're now going to move on to a report from Chancellor Fry, who will present the Flint budget.
Thank you. The University of Michigan Flint is requesting a 4.9% or $700 per year increase in undergraduate tuition and fee rates, and a 4% or $736 per year increase in graduate tuition and fee rates. We have the third lowest tuition rate among public universities in the state of Michigan. The University of Michigan Flint is requesting a 5% increase in room and board rates. Our room and board rates are second lowest among the 14 publics that have residence halls. Details are in the board packet. Thank you.
Thank you very much once again for your leadership. I ask if there are any questions regarding the Flint budget. Thank you very much then. Chancellor Grosso will present the Dearborn budget.
Thank you, President Ono. Our proposed 2024-2025 general fund budget reflects an anticipated 2.5% increase in the state appropriation. Approximately 92% of our state appropriation is directed towards student financial aid. The proposed budget also includes undergraduate tuition and fee increases at the lower division of 4.7% for in-state students and 4.9% for out-of-state students, and 4.8% for in-state graduate students and 4.9% for non-resident graduate students. Also incorporated into the budget are funds to support modest faculty and staff wage increases, as well as funds to support operation and scholarly mission of the Dearborn campus. Details are provided in the board book. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Grosso. Are there any questions on the Dearborn budget? Seeing none, I now turn to EVP Chattis, who will present a number of additional budgets.
Thank you, Mr. President. First is an informational item to summarize the fiscal year 25 budget for the athletic department. Budgeted revenues are approximately $256 million, and budgeted expenditures are approximately $254 million, for a surplus of approximately $2 million. Budgeted revenues for fiscal year 25 are approximately 25 million higher than fiscal year 24 forecast due to several reasons. The first, a combination of 8 football games in fiscal year 25 compared to 7 in fiscal year 24, higher football ticket prices, and higher conference distributions. This item is informational and no action by the board is required. Next is the university's operating budget. On behalf of EVP McCauley, EVP Runge, and myself, I submit the fiscal year 25 operating budget to the board for approval. This operating budget reflects necessary investment in mission activities, financial aid, and infrastructure, and provides sufficient coverage of operating expenses and debt service and facilities. The university's strong financial position was recently validated by Moody's, reaffirming our long-term bond rating of AAA with a stable outlook. I recommend this budget for approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much, EVP Chattis. Are there any questions or comments on the revenue and expenditure operating budget? Seeing none, is there a motion for approval of the FY 24-25 revenue and expenditure operating budget, which includes all of the budgets presented today? Thank you. Is there a second? Okay. Any discussion? Okay. This will be a roll call vote. Please say yes if you're voting in favor of the consolidated budget, no if you're voting against, and abstain if you're abstaining. Regent Acker.
Yes. Yes.
Regent Beam.
Yes.
Regent Bernstein.
No.
Regent Brown.
Yes. Yes.
Regent Hubbard.
Yes.
Regent Illich.
Yes.
Regent Weiser. Regent White.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll note the vote. Thank you. Sorry, my microphone was off. We're going to move on to the regular report with a report from Regent Bernstein, so the Health Affairs Committee. Regent Bernstein.
Thanks, President Ono. The Health Affairs Committee, including members Regent Beam and Regent Brown, and I think Regents Illich and Hubbard also participated, met for an update on strategy and finances for U of M Health. The committee also received information on emergency services staffing and other ongoing strategic initiatives.
Thank you very much, Regent Bernstein. We now have a report from the Finance, Audit, and Investment Committee with Regent Hubbard.
The FAI Committee, including co-chair Regent Weiser and members White and Brown, met and discussed the fiscal year 25 internal audit plan. The committee also reviewed the fiscal year 25 consolidated institutional budget.
Thank you. I'm also calling upon you if you have a chair's report.
Sure. Thank you, President Ono. Earlier this month, I attended the Detroit Regional Chamber Mackinac Policy Conference, where policymakers and stakeholders across the state of Michigan gathered to discuss the future and how to work together more effectively. Events included a University of Michigan reception hosted by President Ono, the Alumni Association and the University of Michigan, and the University of Michigan Office of Government Relations. And I'd just like to say that the team did such a great job at the conference this year and partnering with the Detroit Regional Chamber too. And I really look forward to continuing that effort and our focus on economic development. As you said, President Ono, not just the University of Michigan, but the University for Michigan. Additionally, last week, many of our U of M colleagues attended the event on Main, supporting the Little Victors at U of M Health C.S. Mott Children's Hospital. Proceeds benefit the Charles Woodson Clinical Research Fund, which enables U of M doctors and scientists to take on devastating childhood conditions and diseases. And yes, I would say we all had a good time at that event last week. And this is my last meeting as chair. And I really do appreciate everyone's support. This is a year that's had a lot of ups and downs, but even with the downs, it's a great honor to serve in this role on the board, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And so the honor is certainly mine to have completed this year as your chair. And so with that, I'm going to end with the nomination process for 2024-25. The Regents bylaws state that the positions of chair and vice chair rotate annually based on seniority until all members of the board have had the opportunity to serve as chair or vice chair. Following this provision, I move the nomination of Regent Kathy White as chair and Regent Mark Bernstein as vice chair effective July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025.
So moved. Is there a seconder?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Congratulations, both of you.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Commiserations, one of the two.
All right. Thank you very much. And Sarah, I just want to add, thanks again for everything. I remember our very first conversation when you were talking about your priorities as chair, and the first priority was innovation. And boy, have we accomplished a lot as an institution. And your inspiration, your passion are a key part of what we accomplished this year with all of us together. So thank you for that. And also, thanks for coming to everything. I mean, it's enormously appreciated. You travel long distances to attend everything. And so once again, can we just give Chair Hubbard a round of applause?
Well, thank you very much, and I intend to continue to attend many, many things as I enjoy this job and all its ups and downs. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. And Regent White, we're looking forward to working with you. So, great. All right, we're now moving on to the regular business agenda. The minutes and reports are on the website, and I will, the specific report will begin with Chancellor Grasso.
Thank you, President Ono. A couple of weeks ago, I had the privilege and honor of serving on an American Association of State Colleges and Universities panel held in Detroit, along with President Ora Peskovitz and President Kevin Guskowitz from Michigan State, Oakland University, Michigan State, respectively, on the subject of democratic engagements on campus. It was a robust and informative panel. We also held two West Coast receptions, one in LA and one in Seattle, for U of M Dearborn alums, and they were hosted at homes of our alums, and they were both very successful, and it was great talking with friends and families of folks that graduated from the university. We are also renovating our campus to make it a healthier campus, providing more bike-friendly lanes and pathways, along with walking and hiking paths, and we're adding pickleball courts to the campus as well. And finally, this past academic year, 21 of our student athletes achieved a perfect 4.0 GPA, which is up from 4 the previous year, and it comprises almost 10% of all of our student athletes. Go Blue, go Dearborn.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to take this opportunity, since we're live streaming, to challenge you to a game of pickleball on your new coach.
Well, I'd love to play pickleball. All right.
We'll have to have some kind of cup and see who retains the cup on an annual basis. But pickleball is pretty exciting. So,
That's great.
Yeah, thank you, Chancellor Grasso. Over to you, Chancellor Fry.
Thank you, President Ono. I'm pleased to report that the University of Michigan Flint is entering into a 3-year lease agreement to house the Flint Cultural Center Academy's new high school at the university's North Bank Center beginning this fall. The FCAA, which currently hosts kindergarten through 8th grade students at its campus, expects to place 50 9th grade students on the University of Michigan Flint campus this fall. It will add additional grades each subsequent year. The partnership between the two entities underscores the importance of collaboration in creating a robust educational environment in the region and reflects the University of Michigan's Flint's dedication to serving its community. This month, I would like to highlight some achievements of our students. The American Academy of Physician Associates has named 2 University of Michigan physician assistant students to its 2024 Student Academy Board of Directors. Yasmin Afis will serve as president-elect, and Emily Lokorski has been named the Academy's North Central Regional Director. During their 1-year term, regional directors are responsible for actively encouraging and assisting all PA programs within their region to establish and register a student society with the Academy. On another area of campus, Keaton Reese, a sophomore anthropology major, and Elamatu Sar, a recent political science graduate, are the first University of Michigan Flint students in the institution's history to be selected as critical language scholars by the U.S. Department of State. The CLS program is highly competitive, accepting fewer than 500 students a year. Participants spend at least 8 weeks learning one of 13 languages at an intensive study abroad program. Reese will study Indonesian at the State University of Malang in Indonesia, while Sar will study Arabic at the Jordan Language Academy in Jordan. They will each stay with the host family to further their language immersion during their experience. And finally, I would like to say it has been a pleasure and a privilege to serve as interim chancellor. I have been here since August in this role, and on July 1st, I will return to the role of Dean of the College of Health Sciences, where I will focus on addressing the healthcare workforce shortage, and I will help mentor the incoming chancellor. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. And once again, on behalf of the entire university, thanks for your service and all of your contributions, not only to your campus, to the whole university. Regent Beam.
Thanks, President Arnold. I'd also like to thank Chancellor Fry for her great tenure over the past year as the interim chancellor. And also, I had the chance to join her last week for the groundbreaking of U of M Flint's College of Innovation and Technology. And the sky's the limit for this school. It was a wonderful groundbreaking, and we would not be where we are today without Donna's leadership. So I'd just like to thank her for that and for her leadership as interim chancellor.
Let's give Chancellor Fry another round of applause. Now turn to the CSG Vice President Elias Atkinson for the Student Government Report.
Hello. Hello, President Ono, members of the Board of Regents, and executive officers of the university. My name is Eli Atkinson, VP of Student Government, and I'm here because the student body elected me, along with President Alifa Chaudhry and 22 of 45 CSG Assembly members on a platform advocating for a single cause, which is divestment from Israel. Our university is in the midst of a crisis of your own making because despite decades of advocacy, you've refused to divest from Israel and companies profiting from the killing of Palestinians and oppressed people around the world. Regent Acker, we've heard time and time again that the university endowment is shielded from political pressure, but you stated in May in an interview with Politico that we all have our reasons for not divesting. And for you, you're a diehard two-state solution guy, which indicates to me that the endowment is not actually shielded from political pressures or opinions. Regent Beam, you have stated that the university has no direct investment in any Israeli company. Less than 0.1% is directly invested. If that is the case, I'd like you to disclose the university's financial investments and prove it. President Ono, just a week ago, you stated that universities are meant to build bridges for the benefit of humanity and that you plan to double down on relationships with universities in Israel. Yet, you have not even acknowledged the systematic targeting of education infrastructure in Gaza. Are you aware that all 12 universities in Gaza have been destroyed by the Israeli military? Your dishonesty, hypocrisy, lack of humanity deepen with every day you reaffirm your support for the Israeli settler colonial project, one that has killed tens of thousands, disabled and traumatized hundreds of thousands, and displaced millions in just 8 months. To protest your reprehensible support of genocide, students established the Gaza Solidarity Encampment in April, an example of what community should be, a place where we gather, learn from each other, support one another, and organize. But you resorted to surveillance, intimidation, and violence. The police's brutal clearing of the Diag on May 21st is but another instance of your consistent use of criminalization and police violence, justified with lies, to avoid accountability. Your willingness to deploy violence makes you all a danger to the campus community. You've created a climate of fear to silence activism for Palestinian human rights. You can brutalize us, but we will not stop because we believe that it is possible to live in a world without genocide, without apartheid, and without oppression, and we are stepping up and taking responsibility for creating that world. President Ono and the Regents, it is not too late to stand on the right side of history. You can be part of making the University of Michigan and the world one that is for, with, and by the people. Divest now, free Palestine.
Are there any comments? Regent Acker?
Yeah, I have a few questions for you if you don't mind. And first of all, I just want to say thank you for coming. Over the 6 years that I've done this, I've had great relationships with CSG leadership because I think CSG is a really important position for our campus, for a student body. And I hear you saying this, and we've had the things that we've accomplished in very difficult circumstances. And so I have a few questions for you, if that's all right, about your plans for this year on some of the issues that affect our campus. One year, we worked really hard on student mental health care. Do you have any plans to work on that issue this year?
We don't have any plans to work on that this year. Like I've said, our only issue on the table is divestment.
Okay. So one of the other issues that CSG worked on was childcare. In fact, in 2023, CSG distributed $180,000 for childcare subsidies. Are you doing anything to improve that this year?
We are not.
Okay. Will you be distributing childcare subsidies?
We do not plan to, no.
Okay. Now, there are many students from other countries and out of town, and one of the great achievements that CSG had was regular transportation from Detroit Airport. Do you plan on improving those this year?
We don't. There's already an existing service that travels back and forth more regularly, consistently, and it's only $3 more for a ticket. And, sorry.
Okay, so as you know, food insecurity continues to be a big challenge for some of our students. One of the years on the board, it was an important issue, and I worked closely with CSG, and they worked really hard to tackle the issue of food insecurity among our students right here in Washtenaw County. What are you doing to improve food insecurity this year?
We don't have plans to work towards that with our agenda for CSG.
Okay. Now, my final question for you. There are 391 groups, including South Asian groups, including the Black Student Union, and many, many others. Do you plan on funding their activities this year, and will you follow the regular procedures in doing so?
We don't, and I'd like to note that the Black Student Union, other South Asian identity orgs, Southeast Asian orgs, Asian orgs, Arab orgs, all signed on to support our campaign during the election.
And they're aware that you will not be funding their activities for the following school year. Is that correct?
We've been extremely clear about what we plan to do and what not to do from the inception of our campaign. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. Food insecurity, not important to fund in Washtenaw County, correct?
I don't think that student government should bear the burden of solving food insecurity in Washtenaw County.
That wasn't my question.
Okay, then no.
The funds did come from CSG in the past, correct?
To my understanding, yes.
Okay, and you are not planning on distributing those this year, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Same thing with childcare subsidies. Same answer?
Correct, but I'll reiterate that
thank you, thank you,
student government is responsible for providing child care to the children of...
Regent Beam?
Thanks. Regent Acker, you covered the question I had about food insecurity. Thanks.
Regent Bernstein?
Yeah, Eli, I'm just curious, what programs do you intend to fund this coming school year?
This coming school year, we don't intend to pass a budget or move money through student government.
What kind of criteria will you use to determine if someone can affiliate with CSG activities? If someone, for example, were Zionist or felt strongly that Israel was an important part of their identity, would they be permitted to participate in your student government activities, committees, other activities?
What do you mean by like receive like funding for like a student org or something?
Yes, that's one feature.
Oh, yeah, we don't intend to distribute funding to any student orgs at all.
What about participation in a CSG committee? There are many, many that are engaged in student life.
All right. There within internally in student government, there are no sort of restrictions on who can or cannot get involved with whichever committee they'd like to be involved in.
Okay. So yeah, I want to kind of echo what my colleague Regent Acker referenced, which is that for my many years on this board, I have treasured the relationship I've had with CSG presidents and leadership, because I think they've been engaged in very important work that benefits our student body and our community and our society more broadly, not just at Michigan, but also not just in Ann Arbor, but of course at Flint and in Dearborn. Not every time, of course, do I agree with the positions of CSG presidents or vice presidents or the various parties that are part of CSG. And that's just part of the process on a campus where we have robust debate and we engage with each other over issues that we disagree. And along those lines, I just want to reference that I have many friends and colleagues with whom I sharply disagree on issues related to your comments that you made today and others that have been made by CSG leadership. And we have engaged in countless hours of dialogue across these differences as we have watched the tragic and heartbreaking loss of innocent life in Israel and in Gaza. And these conversations are challenging and they are urgently needed, as we all know. And I've learned and grown from this dialogue. As painful as this moment is, these interactions have been informed by facts and grounded in a shared sense of respect and compassion. And your rhetoric today is in stark contrast to this type of constructive and impactful approach. At best, you demonstrate common cause with the anti-Semitic mob on this campus, and at worst, you are part of it. That is why they are unworthy of a substantive engagement and demand strident, unequivocal condemnation.
Any other comments?
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. All right. We now move on to personnel actions. Provost McCauley.
Thank you, President Ono. First, I'm pleased to recommend the appointment of Shalonda H. Baker as the inaugural Vice Provost for Sustainability and Climate Action, effective September 1st, 2024. Ms. Baker comes to us from the U.S. Department of Energy, where she serves as the Director of the Office of Energy Justice and Equity, Secretarial Advisor on Equity, and the Department of Energy's Chief Diversity Officer. Previously, she served as the department's first Deputy Director for Energy Justice. As a senior administration official, Ms. Baker has played a pivotal role in shaping the nation's energy transition. Notably, she designed the Department of Energy's transformative policy framework for the Justice 40 initiative to facilitate the equitable distribution of over $100 billion in climate and clean energy spending to communities around the United States. Ms. Baker has been a professor at the University of San Francisco School of Law, the University of Hawaii's William S. Richardson School of Law, and served as a professor of law, public policy, and urban affairs at Northeastern University until joining the Biden-Harris administration in 2021. Ms. Baker's extensive background in energy justice, environmental policy, and academic leadership will be a tremendous asset in realizing our climate and sustainability goals. I am also very pleased to bring forward a supplemental action item recommending the appointment of Rosario Ceballo as Dean, College of Literature, Science, and the Arts for a 5-year renewable term effective August 15th, 2024, professor with tenure in the Department of Psychology and professor without tenure in the Women's and Gender Studies Department. Professor Ceballo has an extensive history with the University of Michigan. After receiving a BA in psychology from Yale, she earned her MA in clinical and developmental psychology, a graduate certificate in women's studies, and a PhD in clinical and developmental psychology here at the University of Michigan. In 1997, Professor Ceballo began her academic career as an assistant professor in the Department of Psychology and Women's and Gender Studies here, and served on the faculty for 26 years. During that time, Professor Ceballo also served as chair of the Department of Women's Studies from 2015 to 18, and as associate dean for social sciences from 2018 to 21. In 2022, Professor Ceballo joined Georgetown University as dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, where she currently serves. Professor Ceballo is a nationally recognized interdisciplinary scholar who has published widely across clinical, community, developmental, and feminist psychology journals. Her work has received funding from NSF and NIH. She is the recipient of many awards for scholarship and teaching, including the Women in Psychology Leadership Award from the American Psychological Association, the John Dewey Award for Outstanding Undergraduate Instruction, and the Harold R. Johnson Diversity Service Award. Professor Ceballo's extensive background in academic leadership, strong scholarly record, and deep institutional knowledge of Michigan promise an exciting and dynamic future for the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost McCauley. I want to congratulate you on both of those and open it up for any comments from the table. Very excited. Once again, congratulations. Can't wait to welcome them. I've had a chance to interview both of them. They're outstanding additions to the University of Michigan. All right, the retirement memoirs and personal reports are in the materials. The degrees are in the materials. And I now call on a vote on the consent agenda, including the supplemental materials. Is there a motion?
Support.
Seconded? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We move now to the regular agenda, the Finance and Property Committee. The first item is informational, and then we moved on to item 2, public equity. EVP Chattis.
Nothing to add, Mr. President.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item 3, public equity. EVP Chattis.
Nothing to add, Mr. President.
So moved.
Seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Item 4, vacant land, 2225 Main Street Southwest and 2221 Health Drive, Southwest Wyoming, Michigan. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Anyone say aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Item 5, Ypsilanti Health Center Adolescent Partial Hospitalization Program. EVP Chattis.
Nothing to add, Mr. President.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item 6, Kent Healthcare Physician Organization, legal assessment and recommendations. EVP Chattis.
Nothing to add, Mr. President.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 7, Health Oakland County Ambulatory Care Expansion. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Items 8 to 12 are conflict of interest items, each of which requires 6 votes for approval. Does anyone have a question with any of the particular items? Would any of the regents like to request recusal from voting on any of the items? I now call for a vote. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign.
To make sure 6 to be sent. Gotta get Jordan.
We will check, and Paul on the phone?
Paul, are you on the phone?
Regent Brown, could you confirm?
Unmute.
Let's pause for a second.
Get Jordan back on
Maybe
the
come
phone.
back after.
Have Jordan.
Need to contact Jordan.
Yeah, and come back to it.
Yeah, let's just return to it.
Yep.
We'll return to this once we have a vote, additional vote on items 8 through 12.
He texted.
Need one additional vote. And the other items, Michigan Health Corporation Business Plan. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Approval of the academic calendar for 2025-2026 for University of Michigan Flint. Chancellor Fry,
Add, Mr. President.
seconded. All those in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Great. Do we know if we have an additional vote?
We're working on it.
Denise, too.
Yeah, I'm texting.
Well, let us know when you get a vote. And we will move on to the other item now, public comments.
Thank you, President Ono. We are now moving to the regularly scheduled public feedback section of the meeting where Regents set aside time for individuals to present comments to the board. As a reminder, the board does not generally respond to comments during public comment session. All public board meetings are formal events convened under Article 8, Section 4 of the Michigan Constitution, and all attendees, speakers are asked to treat others with respect and civility. Speakers are expected to adhere to the topic that was cited during the registration, truthfully disclose any relevant organizational ties during the registration submission, and promptly conclude the marks after the allotted time of 2 minutes unless otherwise noted. Speakers who do not adhere to these rules may be precluded from addressing the board at future meetings. And this is in addition to the guidelines outside in the public comment policy. So now I'd like to welcome our first speaker, Ada Williams. Welcome. You have up to 2 minutes to speak. Please begin when you're ready.
I'm sorry. Thank you. President Ono, Regents, Board of Directors. My name is Ada Williams. I'm a patient services intermediate at Domino Farms. I worked at the university for 31 years. I'm here to present this letter on behalf of over 2,600 frontline essential healthcare workers represented by SEIU Healthcare Michigan. We take great pride in our work here at the university. Michigan Medicine is the provider of choice for our patients in our state. We strive to make Michigan Medicine the employer of choice for healthcare workers, not simply based on spreadsheets and markets, but on our experience as frontline workers. Almost 1,000 workers represented by our union are paid less than $20 per hour. Who can live off of less than $40,000 per hour in Ann Arbor? The average monthly cost of rent is about $2,000. Many of us drive over an hour to work each day because we can't afford to live where we work, and we can't afford the gas. We propose the minimum pay at the U should be no less than $20 per hour. After 31 years, my pay is only $24.73 per hour. We need a wage scale that rewards long-term service to the university. When we worked through the pandemic, our reward was the university froze the retirement contribution for 6 months. We are proposing that the university make us whole for that loss. We propose that the same percentage increases in our pay as others who recently got union contracts, since lower paid workers are the hardest hit by rising prices. We also propose parity in PTO days, shift premiums, and on-call pay. Should I keep going? Okay. We also propose parity in PTO shift premiums and on-call pay. These should not be based on our job title, but rather because we deserve the same work-life balance as our colleagues. We need equity in the cost of insurance. Why should lower paid workers have a higher percentage of our paychecks than the highest paid employees for the same benefits? Thank you very much for your time and consideration. We want to make the university a better place to work. Respect, parity, and equity are the keys to getting it done. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to pause just for 1 second because we have to get a live vote to get to the 6. And we have Regent Illich calling in. Regent Illich, can you confirm that you're voting yes?
Yes.
Thank you very much. We have the 6 votes. Thank you, Regent Illich.
I'm here as well, Mr. President.
Okay, we have more than 6 votes. Thank you. Thank you, Regent Acker.
Thank you. I now call upon our second speaker, Nia Hall. Yeah, you have up to 2 minutes to speak when you're ready.
Thank you. Greetings. My name is Nia Hall, and I am a once proud PhD student that studies race, racism, and anti-Blackness in education, specifically campus policing and institutional response and repression of student activism and free speech. President Ono, on September 21st, 2023, you gave your quote-unquote support for an unarmed, non-police emergency response program, a program that was championed for and by our graduate employees organization. What happened? Because over the past year, your administration and the regents of this institution have done everything completely antithetical to that quote-unquote support. You all have surveilled, banned, arrested your own students, staff, and faculty, and have charged them with felonies for practicing our First Amendment right to protest your white supremacist, Zionist, anti-Black, Islamophobic, anti-Arab, and truly anti-Semitic policies. I emphasize anti-Semitic because only listening to and meeting with organizations like the Zionist ones you have prioritized and not anti-Zionist Jewish students and community members who were among those assaulted and arrested, or Jewish orgs like Jewish Voice for Peace is anti-Semitic. You unleashed cops to brutalize and use chemical weapons like industrial grade pepper spray on students and community members. You have also made it abundantly clear that you have chosen to side with an oppressive force committing genocide rather than support your own students with the moral clarity and ethics to demand justice and divestment. This quote-unquote year of democracy and civic engagement will be a complete sham if you continue to ignore and isolate your pro-Palestinian students, staff, faculty, and community that this university is supposed to serve. History will judge poorly upon you. Disclose, divest. We will not stop, we will not rest. We look forward to the tweets, Regents. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd now like to welcome Lori Carbone. Welcome, and you have 2 minutes to speak when you're ready.
Thank you, President Ono and Regents. My name is Lori Carbone, and I have been a social worker at Michigan Medicine for 23 years. Stress, due to the focus on social work outcomes, became so great that I left my position and moved to research. Social work outcomes are measured by the number of patients seen and billing data. Social workers are increasingly pressured to see as many patients as possible, focusing on providing resources for one identified problem with no time to assess for other issues. Social workers are in an untenable position of working mainly to meet the institution's financial goals. This needs to change. Think about the range of reasons that people come to us for care, from annual checkups to chronic illness like diabetes, to cancer, to end-of-life care. Each person has their own story. The unique role of medical social workers is they enhance well-being by helping patients cope emotionally with changes in health and functioning, provide health education, and connect them to helpful resources. Unfortunately, healthcare billing still prioritizes medical services and the number of services provided over effective patient care. I'll give an example. In family medicine, a male patient with diabetes had both legs amputated below the knee and was homeless. He had been on the wait list for subsidized housing for 2 years and had just received a call about an apartment being available, but he needed to get there that morning to sign the lease. No family member could take him. Think of the loop of poverty, chronic illness, and homelessness and their effect on one another. His future health and well-being was at stake. It took over an hour and multiple phone calls to arrange for him to get to the office to sign the lease. This lengthy intervention would be frowned upon now. Social workers are covering multiple areas and clinics. They have only enough time with patients to give them resource information. The patient and the family need to make the calls. There is no follow-up to make sure their needs were met. Social workers are not alone, as Michigan Medicine has increased pressure on dietitians, occupational and physical therapists, and other staff to see more patients and increase profits. Thank you.
Thank you. I now call upon our final speaker, Jim Mogensen. Welcome, Jim. You have 2 minutes to speak when you're ready.
Jim Mogensen to talk about healthcare system capital financing. Over the years, I've been talking about it and tried in these 2 minutes to try to say, I want you to be more like Zingerman's and less like the former bookstore Borders, which in part went bankrupt because it expanded its capital footprint and didn't have enough money to make the system work. Over the years, I've watched as you fully finance Mott, then you bought the $200 million Michigan West system, right, the hospital, and if people weren't watching, you just approved $45 million for that campus, an additional $45 million for that campus. And then you keep on doing these things, right? And the question is, how is the operating margins, as I looked over the years, never change. They're large because the system is so large. It's also important to note that when you bond these capital expenditures, you secure them with general fund money. And I believe that this is reckless, irresponsible, and wrong. Over the years, I've also watched as you try to squeeze the employees at the health system to try to make the numbers work over the years. It always seems like once you have one of these projects at Mott, wouldn't you know, the nurses were given a really hard time to get as much money as possible to make those little tiny numbers work, right? I believe it's not going to be, a long time ago, I went to a public lecture at the business school, and they were talking about this new innovative way of financing energy. And I just couldn't understand how it worked. And I thought, maybe I'm just dumb. But then, Enron imploded 2 weeks later. I don't think we're going to know how that's all going to work out. And I believe that as you move forward for this next year, that you include a capital budget and explain how all this is going to work. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Regent Hubbard?
Yeah, well, thank you to our public comment speakers today. We appreciate your feedback. See you soon.
Thank you very much. With that, the meeting is adjourned.